I'm Mike Dupuis. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Catalyst Brands. Catalyst Brands is a relatively newly formed organization that is a merger from Spark Brands, our Spark Group, and JCPenney. So we have 6 brands in the portfolio coming from the Spark side: Aeropostale, Nautica, Lucky Brand, Eddie Bauer, and Brooks Brothers. And now we are joined together with our friends at JCPenney to form Catalyst Brands.
I'm Annie Soderstrom. I am the VP of Digital Product here at SKIMS. SKIMS is a women's wear apparel company, intimates company that is fairly new. We're about 5 years old as of today.
I'm Dan Kaparski. I'm head of digital here at Archipelago Companies. We own and operate a couple lifestyle brands, Olakai, Melon, and Rourke being the biggest. And we recently launched Tradewin Services, which will be bringing on other companies outside the portfolio to help, grow their e-commerce experience.
I'm Jason Siva. Thanks for listening. CMO at Session AI. I've been in Silicon Valley for the last 20 years. Companies like Eightfold AI, Bloomreach for a number of years. Definitely like a geek for tech, and so excited to be here and have this conversation.
Overall, I think at this time last year, AI was this really cool thing, and now it's really become a non-negotiable for survival in e-commerce. It's really no longer distinguishable, I'd say, from e-commerce in general, because we're all using it so consistently across the industry in different ways. From the customer standpoint, we're also starting to see obviously more adoption in using LLMs, but seeing that kind of reflect itself on our sites. So I've noticed that when customers are using on-site search, they're using longer queries. It's not just like black t-shirt, it's like black t-shirt that I can wear to a concert in Miami in May. So how are we using neural search? How are we updating our technology to react to that kind of thing? We're also seeing, essentially doubling of people who are directly coming from LLMs to our site every single month. So people are getting much more used to doing some of their original shopping inquiries in these spaces as opposed to a Google search.
No, it's definitely evolved. We started working with Sierra early to do our customer service virtual agent. So we launched that at the beginning of last year, and that was kind of us scratching the surface on the forward-facing AI in e-commerce. And I think last year was definitely across all brands. I saw a rise in that customer service chat agent that moved on from a chatbot that can do more than just, returns and exchanges. And I think it was all geared reactive. Everything was like, how are we reducing the amount of stress on the team and tickets and getting to the customer faster? Now I think everything is switched to being proactive, revenue driving. How are we getting the customer to check out faster, getting them to find the products? Search and discovery has completely evolved.
I think for probably everybody on this webinar, a year ago, executive teams and certainly boards were requiring teams like ours to be able to dimensionalize how are we thinking about AI and ML. There's no question that this year that's not going to be good enough, and it's not about, okay, well, we have a few pilots and we're measuring response. This is really about needing to deploy and or scale and really get meaningful results and savings from the different AI sort of tests. So this is really the year where I think they have to scale. The results have to be there. We'll talk a lot more about some sort of practical applications, but I definitely think it's arrived.
I think you're seeing a lot of labor costs being replaced with AI, or people having to do a lot more with less, much smaller teams, but getting a lot more output. And so you're seeing it not only in the platforms that touch the customers, but you're seeing it in the work that people are doing as marketers, the e-commerce catalog, things like that. Some of these AI tools actually touch a couple different groups. You might touch e-commerce and marketing and merchandising to get something done. And so the really smart leaders are actually getting people all together across these groups to drive change around the technology.
First and foremost, really, really interested in how to optimize our site for LLM crawlers. To the points that were made earlier, the future we see, way down in the future, maybe people don't even visit websites. They're doing all their shopping, through AI agents. And we need to make sure that our site is optimized for those AI agents to serve us up, first thing to that customer every time. So very similar to SEO, but completely different. So we are just starting to dig in on that. We're also really looking into AI imagery. So obviously H&M had some big news last week, and people are really digging into how we can use it there. But photo shoots are so expensive, and we're a brand that likes to show multiple sizes and multiple colors. And there's all kinds of really interesting things you can do there to cut costs and also make images that really compel the customer. And then finally, Perplexity is everyone's talking about Perplexity right now. Of all the LLMs, I'd say it's one that's most focused on e-commerce. You have the ability to use Shop Pay right there. You can check out right in app, all that good stuff. So we are in the process of connecting our product feed so that we can always keep the most updated information to those customers there and see the effect that has. So it's a lot of kind of experimentation, learning right now. I don't think we're expecting any of these to have incredible impact on our business right away, but the assumption is that within 2, 3 years, 4 years, they will. And so we're getting started early.
We're in, a tougher macroeconomic climate. Meta, Google ads are skyrocketing as far as costs and performance, and you're seeing deliverability challenges across email and things like that. So how do we improve that there? So we've kind of dug into starting analyzing traffic sources in a different way. I feel like it used to always be bot equals bad traffic, what does that mean? And so really trying to identify, all right, what's the key to being searchable and being crawled by the right bots, the right virtual agents. I think, we are seeing the agent to agent, whether it's not completing the actual purchase now, they're getting 99% of the way so that the consumer can pick up in basically just one click and be ready for checkout. So focusing on that aspect of it. We've also dug into, analytics. How are we using LLMs to track across multiple channels? We have big wholesale, retail, and, our e-commerce business. And we really want to identify trends in the products, whether, what's selling, what's unexpected. How do we get that information back to our product teams? If we see any ways we can optimize, plan future planning. So I think that's another big one. And then, like Annie said, I think the image thing, I think creative teams don't want to relinquish control, especially as such an image forward brand like Olokai we have. But we are starting to leverage it to, do different things when it comes to ads and being able to move quickly and obviously do more A/B testing and really, identify what resonates with the customer in the right channel at the right time. So, leveraging the AI to get to that outcome.
We're using AI and ML models within our CDP environment, for example, to do identity resolution, right? And I think most brands at this point have sort of crossed that bridge, but it's important not to sort of look past that because that's a critical use case. I think then if you take that forward, the advances in dynamic audience creation to drive marketing efficiency and response, Annie and Dan have already mentioned, then a layer on top of that for let's call it asset contextualization and personalization. So I think the biggest cross-brand opportunities reside within likely the data layer.
I would say here too, it used to be that this understanding of a customer was break it down into traditional segments and if I have more information about this person, I guess I could do better in my targeting, or I guess I could do better on the offer. And I think what's happening is the AI tools are actually changing that dynamic so that it's a real conversation with the people. You can actually be reflexive with behavior, right? So if someone does a thing, it takes an action, but it's not a rule that got you to that action. It's actually the AI that gets you to that action and delivers a much better experience for people. And so customer data is one input, behavior is one input, and then like Mike was saying too, it's the catalog, it's the information that you have to offer, and then the marketing assets, and it's the blend of all of those things. But then the AI actually deciding who gets what at what time, and that you might not actually quote unquote understand the person better, but they are getting a much better experience because the AI is actually delivering the right person.
I think the opportunity is education. Honestly, know what's going on, know what's out there, and make sure your team is coming along with you. I think, there's a lot of grassroots AI initiatives going on, and some people are learning and some people aren't, but unless the entire organization is coming with you with where you're going and what your focus is and how these tools are best used, it's going to be really hard to kind of step into that next moment as a company that's truly AI first and using it in the right way.
If you haven't already, sort of taken your digital ecosystem and sort of split it into sectors where you have AI and ML already working, I would do that. If you've already done that, then I would sort of ensure that you have success criteria outlined for the different efforts that you have going on so that you can prioritize the ones that are going to drive the biggest impact. And so this year I'm seeing a lot of traction around trying to divide those highest priority initiatives into one or the other, and seeing executive teams and boards being a lot more receptive when you use that language to help ladder up into what no doubt is a broader agenda. So, and I think the tools are advancing at such a rate that, as we said before, we're going to see real scale this year.
I think having true KPIs, we're examining each part of the tech stack, every piece of the website, where there are consumer touch points, and what is the new ways we can leverage AI to enhance those. So I think that's step one. And then changing the mindset internally of the company. It's not enough to just go play with, what's just recently released with AI, with image generation, things like that, but like really find tools that enhance each department's productivity, create that efficiency to allow them to focus on the strategy problems, is kind of where we're going. And
make some bets with things that are real right now. Like there's a lot of, it's like some of this stuff is such science fiction and it's so cool, but like there are things that are actually like drive your business forward in the next 12 months. We're seeing like a lot of people actually budgeting for that and doing that right now. But then also I would say like keep the science fiction stuff top of mind too, because I think with the AI tools, things are like, okay, and then they're like amazing, like immediately, right? I mean, even ChatGPT was kind of like that. If you saw like ChatGPT 2, it was like kind of terrible, and then immediately it was amazing. And so I think hitting some of the things that are real and then making sure that you're keeping your eye on the things that seem like might be fake but will be real someday.